public like to speak?
Good afternoon. My name is Ted Scarborough. I've been a resident of Macomb County my whole life. I'm 60 years old now. And since we're on the subject of guardianship, I'm going to continue with it. This is between April 2022 and February 23, a series of concerning events unfolded in the Macomb County probate court system. I'm here to detail these events and request your intervention. On April 18, 2022, a 9-minute probate court hearing occurred without my knowledge, where false statements were made about my character. By May 15, 2022, a 6-minute hearing followed, where an adult protective services agent, their attorney, guardian ad litem, and attorney Terrence Gilsonen initiated proceedings affecting my fiancée, Jody, who was deemed a vulnerable adult, and myself. These actions resulted in Jody's forced placement in a nursing home and our separation. Despite being assigned a court-appointed attorney to protect her civil rights, no meaningful advocacy occurred at all. I retained 2 attorneys myself, but neither reported potential misconduct to the appropriate oversight boards, which is the Attorney Grievance Commission, the Attorney Discipline Board, or the State Bar Board of Commissioners. The court proceedings led to my imprisonment twice. First for 21 days in November 22, which time our home was cleared out while I was in jail, and again in February 23 to facilitate the sale of our home. Throughout this process, Attorney Gilsonen collected over $60,000 in proceeds from the house sale, which I had shared with my fiancée since 2012. Despite attempts to seek justice through proper channels, including the Sheriff's Department, the prosecutor's office, my evidence was held for 9 months without action. Peter Lucido responded with a cease and desist letter, and subsequent interactions raised further concerns about professional conduct. Now, I ask you as county commissioners to take action. You have the authority to recommend reforms to protect Macomb County residents from predatory probate practices. Now, first, we need mandatory oversight of court-appointed guardian ad litems, guardians, conservators, and attorney billing and activities. Prevention of forced separations and isolation without due process. Investigation into retaliatory practices against those who speak out. Implementation of checks and balances in the probate court system and document the written complaints provided to the probate administration in Macomb County. This isn't just about me and Jody. It's about protecting every vulnerable citizen in Macomb County from exploitation. The separation of loved ones, sale of property without consent, and excessive legal fees must stop. Please exercise your authority to recommend changes to the Michigan Supreme Court and support reforms in our probate system. Our seniors and vulnerable adults deserve better.
We're kind of tag teaming here. Thank you and congratulations to your service this next cycle here. And
Please state your name for the
oh,
record.
I'm sorry, Jody White, and I am from the Livonia, Wayne County area. I'm a national advocate who works to protect vulnerable adults. I first connected with Ted through a colleague in North Carolina. What I discovered in Macomb County reveals a troubling pattern of retaliation against those who question probate practices. I believe your body should just be aware of the circumstances. I don't know. I've never been here. We go all around, and we are meeting with the Board of Commissioners, State Bar of Michigan, because that is really the jurisdiction that we should be at. But we also believe that this body should be aware because it's your citizens that are being affected. In February of 2023, I attempted to visit his fiancée, Jody, at the nursing home. Despite being there with Jody's friends, staff denied her presence. When I contacted her guardian's office, they refused to disclose her location to allow access. The systemic isolation from friends, advocates, and her fiancé, Ted, demonstrates a concerning pattern. The retaliation escalated when this guardian subpoenaed me to court. I submitted a written testimony, and yet he prevented me from speaking on the record. When he sought media coverage from the Macomb Daily, which Mr. Cook is here, and I thanked him for his services, but unfortunately, the resulting article instead featured defamatory statements about Ted from the Guardian. A follow-up story failed to address the concerning practices. Further retaliation came through a complaint to the State Bar of Michigan accusing me of unauthorized practice of law. I'm allowed to be legal, lawful, and compliant. And I'm allowed to be an advocate to care about this. I'm a realtor for 42 years. I like rules, regulations, order. I like my families not being taken advantage of. While this complaint was ultimately dismissed, it represents a pattern of intimidation against advocates who expose probate exploitation. Recent events demonstrated ongoing concerns, which Ted had mentioned. Law enforcement agencies repeatedly dismissed Ted's legitimate complaints. I went to the sheriff. I went with Pete to see Pete Lucido, me and our group, and nothing. Pete Lucido or Prosecutor Lucido issued a cease and desist letter rather than investigating the allegations. Shocking. I was shocked. We know Pete from being in the judiciary branch up at the legislation when he was a state senator. He knows all about this. So I was shocked to see him do that. And then finally, a recent media on Channel 2, there was an incident that inappropriately exposed Ted's identity in connection with unsubstantiated claims between Pete and him, but it was all allegedly a farce, but his name was on it and they didn't redact his name.
You have 30 seconds.
Thank you. I'm almost done. I appreciate that. I urge the county commissioners to schedule a government policy committee meeting with the victims in probate to address the four things. And I don't know, I mean, most counties have a government policy. I'm new here, so if you don't have something of this nature, we'd like to somehow or another have you help us implement stricter oversight for court officers. We could use your help. You guys are citizens too. This could happen to you. Protections of advocates and family members from retaliation. That's got to stop. We are allowed to come out and speak about this. Review of probate funding and accountability measures. The State Bar of Michigan will probably help us with that. And then, of course, a creation for transparent grievance procedures. If there's any way that someone can just take a number and we'll say, oh, Ted number 1, what's going on with Ted? Christine number 48, what's happening from 1 to 48? Lastly, when attorneys exploit probate court for financial gain, they transform a civil dispute resolution system into a criminal enterprise. As funders of the probate court, you have both the authority and the responsibility to protect vulnerable residents from exploitation. The administration of justice in Macomb County depends on your action. Thank you. And I do hope to hear from somebody about this topic to get with a committee to further talk about this. Thank you for your time.
Yes, Christina Bood, retired Detroit teacher, 40 years, and I'm currently active and teaching. I'm working with retirees, and I'm currently working at a learning center, among a million other things. And I'm an elder abuse activist, and I work with many counties. I've done this for about 9 years after my mother was taken into guardianship for no reason. When I went to court in Oakland County to get guardianship, which is the law, that the family members come first. Not happening in oftentimes here in Macomb and in Oakland and in Wayne, because it seems that the generational wealth that was built after the World War and Depression, when people saved, is still saved, and those guardians know it. So do the judges. There's money, lots of it. Just read what happened to the Osage Indians in Killers of the Flower Moon, when they were told they had to go to move their land, and when they did, they found oil. And the government came in and said, well, they can't take care of it themselves. We're going to have to assign guardians. And they did. And they learned to kill off the family members so that eventually that pot of gold went to the guardians. That's happening here in Macomb County, Oakland County, Wayne County, Genesee County, all over Michigan. You have a professional guardian list here in Macomb, where anybody can see that these names have been on Channel 7 News. Many of these names were removed from the Attorney General when we started taking action and going to Lansing, because they were found to be corrupt and stealing from their wards. And they closed up the wards by threatening them and giving them a 10-minute test saying, oh, they're incapacitated, we're going to put them in this nursing home, which happens to be part of an LLC of their friends. Many of these LLC nursing homes are funneling money that the attorneys and guardians collect from the
Yeah,
estate
30
by billing it down. We have a story here in Macomb County of Gretchen Summers, who was on, that Heather Catala covered it, where her aunt, was taken over by names that I see on your current guardian list that you're passing out to the public, that was already handed
Time is up.
on
We need to
the Channel 7 News. And I just want to say, we're working in Lansing right now with lawmakers, but we have people like Georgia Callis, who's on your guardian list, who is up there going against our bills to guardrail. She's going against, saying, oh, we're so poor, we only get 86. Oh, no. They take the rest of the estate. She's living in a $600,000 home.
Your time is up.
Okay.
Thank you.
And so we're working on it because others don't seem to care about the elders. And I'm part of the baby boomers generation. I'm 73,
Ma'am, your time is
74
up.
this week.
Your time is up.
And I'm not going to put up with someone coming to my door like we've seen and take them away in an ambulance and give them a 5-minute test and say, you have Alzheimer's. I have a signature from the judge that we have control over you now as guardians.